Hi everybody, it's Jeannine, and I'd like to welcome you to my new YouTube channel. This is my very first YouTube video, and I'm quite excited. I have been watching YouTube for many years, and there are many people that I follow that I just admire, many younger than I am, and they've inspired me to go out and tell my story. So since I'm really not great at this, I'm just going to get into it. I live in Robertsville, Missouri. That's a rural part of Missouri outside of St. Louis. And I am 61 years old. I'm a wife. I'm a mother of 2 children. I have 2 business locations. I'm a hairstylist and a nail technician. I've been in the business for 30 years. And so I have a lot to say based on conversation at work. I have wonderful people that rent from me in one of my salons. I just think they're the most beautiful people in the world. And then at my other salon, which is in Washington, I'm by myself. But I still have a lot of great clients that come in there, and we have a lot of wonderful talk amongst us. So one of the reasons why I wanted to start this is, and what will be part of what my channel consists of, it's going to be of life experiences. I'm going to be telling some stories about the crazy life that I have led all the way from childhood till now, my 61 years. I'll be 62 in August. And it will be stories about my life married to my husband now and my children. But it will also be how we, as I guess you would call us senior citizens, I don't feel like that though. I can tell you that I do not feel like a senior citizen. I often forget that I'm 61. And due to some circumstances that were within our control and some not within our control, we are going to probably be working till the day we die. And I know that's a big issue around America nowadays. So I really want to address that on this channel because a lot of people are struggling with it. For me personally, I consider it a blessing, but I do have a job that I love to do, and I believe my husband does as well. So I think I don't even know where to start, except for I probably will start now at 61. We moved from the city. My husband and I have been married for 23 years. His name is Douglas, and he calls me Sugar Bear. He has ever since I've known him. I've got a little necklace that I wear. It says Sugar Bear on it. And even though I'm cleaning house today, I just like to feel pretty, as much as I can. I just put an apron on. I don't wear old t-shirts or anything like that, simply because it makes me feel better. And I think that's very, very important as we get older. I think it's important at any time in life. I had an older client one time teach me to use your pretty things every day. And I believe in that. I believe in dressing pretty every day. Even if you have, like for instance, I'm a hairstylist, so I work with hair color. I get wet all the time, but I still wear my nice clothing that is comfortable as well. I prefer all cotton wear. I prefer dresses. And it could be just because I'm a little chubbier and I have a little bit more around the midsection of my body, but I have pretty much set my wardrobe pattern that I like, and I pretty much stick to it. But when I work at home, I just put my aprons on. I've got a million of them. And then, of course, at work, I have aprons as well, just to protect from the chemicals. And that way, I always feel like I'm presentable no matter what. And if I have to go out and run to the store, I just feel like I'm not going to be embarrassed if I run into somebody I know. Also, every day, I get up and I put, just basic foundation. I do not have elaborate makeup on. I have mascara, I have foundation, of course I have moisturizer and sunscreen. I take care of my skin, and a little bit of eyeshadow just to brighten up the dark spots that make us look a little older around the eye area. And then of course some, lipstick and lip gloss. That just makes me feel great for the day. And I truly believe that when we fix up the outside, the inside starts to feel better as well. And that's always been my philosophy in my businesses. It has always been a goal of mine to make people feel as pretty as possible. And that's my job, and that's what I do. So, again, I've been married for 23 years to Douglas, and he is an absolutely wonderful husband. And my life has not always been so. The reason I wanted to make start this channel also is because I have been in situations where I was having intimate discussions with groups of people, and I suppose had a certain perception of the way I grew up based on the way I am now in the life I live now. And when they found out my upbringing, they were floored. They were shocked. One time a lady just kept looking at me saying, "You? You?" And so this channel is also going to be about overcoming obstacles, finding your value, whether you are in your 60s or 70s, or if you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. We all hold value that it took me decades to realize. And if you don't even realize your value that comes from Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, you need to understand your value amongst humanity as well. And it just breaks my heart when I see young men and women not valuing who they are, and it's exhibited by the way they behave. And I know this very well because of my own past. So, and there is quite a past behind here, okay? A whole lot. So we will be getting into that as the channel goes on. I'm a nutcase. I have 3 kitties and I have 3 German Shepherd dogs. I would have more if my husband could take it, but he told me that it was stressing him out too much to have too many animals. So I'm just kind of laying low until the next one needs a home, something like that. Anyway, my husband forgives me everything, and he's just such a good man. But because I love him and I want him to live a nice long life, I want to limit his stress, and I'll bring no more animals home. I live out here in about a 2.5 acre lot. We bought a foreclosure home. It's our second foreclosure since we've been married. We also had one in the lovely historical area of Compton Heights in St. Louis City. And we sold that because my husband felt that the world was not heading in a great direction. And he said that he could protect us better out in the country than in the urban areas of the city. So when your husband says that, you just kind of follow along. Anyway, we had different plans. We were going to be sharing a homestead property with some friends of ours, but things just change. And sometimes, you don't see, it's different when you live with somebody, okay? And so we just felt that it was best that we had our own property. And at the time, as everybody on this watching me now knows, house prices are exorbitant, which this is a manufactured issue, by the way. This is all deliberate, but that's for another day. So we ended up, I didn't want to, but we ended up buying another foreclosure. And let me tell you, it was horrendous. However, I will tell you, out here in the country, I got 2.5 acres. I have a brick home that was built in the 1960s, and it is 2,900 square feet ranch. I've never lived in a ranch before. I had no idea how much bigger ranches feel. When my house in the city was like 3,500 square feet spread out on 3 levels, that seemed a lot smaller than this house. And so while we don't need that much for just us, it's my goal one day that as things just happen in the world, that perhaps some people will come to live with us, some people in need or whatever. I just ask the Lord to please guide me with my blessings. And that's all I want. So we are in the process of remodeling this. It was a trashed house. It was so disgusting. There was animal feces in it. My husband, before we even closed, he got some kids out here and he removed all of the carpet. They had to wear hazmat suits. It was nasty. And before, as with most foreclosures, before somebody is forced to evacuate the premises, they try to tear it up as much as possible. And that's what they did at this house. They sawed all of the plumbing underneath in the basement so that you had to rerun plumbing, and they stripped out all the electrical, lines out of the house. My husband's a general contractor. You think I would know the terminology better. But, and then they trashed the HVAC systems, and so we had to get 2 new of those. But the Lord is good. God is very good. And while we're certainly not rich or set up for retirement, we do okay, and we rely upon the grace of God. So we're remodeling that house. And again, I work and I love what I do. I'm also fighting this whole data center thing throughout the United States, and just God bless us all, because that's just something that I don't even know what to say about it, except for we all just need to work hard to keep our sovereign country and to keep our rights as citizens, reminding the government that they work for us and not us for them, although they really haven't gotten that memo yet. But anyway, so I've got 2 children. One is not married. She actually lives in Taiwan, and that will be a whole nother story. And she is a very talented woman. She is a professional musician. She's a freelance artist. She works in the storefronts of a lot of her friends in Taipei and different towns in Taiwan. And she's lived there for about 20 years now. She likes the culture. She likes the system of government, I suppose. And I just think she's a lovely woman. I have a son who is married, and his wife is a nurse. They have 2 sweet little boys. One's name is Logan. The other one's name is Roarin. Isn't that a cute little name? Both of them are sweet names. Logan is a 4-year-old, very precocious little boy, and just so precious and so sweet. And Roarin, the last time I saw him, and there's another story behind that, which I will share sometime, he was not going to let the age barrier between he and Logan stop him. He was going to catch up and be equal to Logan very fast. I could see that in that little guy. Just a precious little one. And they live in Kirksville, Missouri. That's a college town. And my son is an electrician. He's an electrician apprentice. And that's a very good career to have. So, and he actually has a brilliant mind. He's very, very smart. It's taken him a while to find out what his niche is in life, and I certainly hope that he continues to grow and uses that phenomenal brain that God gave him. So, I don't even know where to begin, except for, I will tell you, I have been married 3 times. And so it's not all been great. The first time I got married basically was because I was not equipped to take care of myself at the age of 18. And so I just want to let you know, I'll be mentioning my parents, but there are some things that I will be leaving out because they are still alive. They are 80 and 81. And I respect them, and I have forgiven them for the past. So I don't want to speak ill in any way that would embarrass them because we all do the very best we can do with what we have. So I got married the first time because I just didn't know how to take care of myself. I was scared, and I actually talked this guy into marrying me, and it was not a good situation, rather, and I regret having done that, and I was not good to him. And then I'll explain all the feelings that went with that later on that I've learned about. And then after that divorce, I was in, my first career was dentistry. I was a dental assistant. And that was pretty much something that my parents picked for me, because if I was going to do anything, I would have gone to college as a singer. I would have studied classical music. But I didn't have what it took to get me through college. I had no confidence. I had not done well in school my entire school career, even though I find that I'm intelligent. But the home circumstances really, I felt like as a child, I was just trying to survive every day. And so school was just an escape, and I didn't understand about it being for learning and how much learning could empower a person. So that's another lesson that I would like to impart on people. Even if you're in your 70s or 80s, learning is always a great thing, and I never want to stop learning new things. But so I got thrown out of the house at 18 because the rules were slightly rigid, and it was just not good. And I married this man, and again, I didn't know anything about devotion or, loyalty, because I had never had that exhibited towards me, ever. And so that ended. And then I met the man who is the father of my children. Now, I did not force him into marrying me. I got pregnant. And I felt like I had no choice. So it turned out that we were planning a wedding, we got married, and you will not believe it, I had a miscarriage the night of our wedding. So I get back to the hotel, and I'm taking off this big gown. This was in the 80s, so everything was big and huge. And I noticed that I had been bleeding, and it really freaked me out and scared me. And I also didn't feel good. I was starting to get cramps. This man, he had all the time we were dating, he had never pulled out a Polaroid camera. And on our honeymoon night, he pulls out a Polaroid camera, and he was to take nude photos of me, like in the bathtub, and who knows where it could have gone. I was very uncomfortable with it, and he has a few photos of me sitting like on the side of the tub. My legs are together, and everything is just kind of like as covered up as I possibly can. But it actually still freaks me out, because I think to myself, I hope he's gotten rid of those, because when he dies, I do not want my children to find those. I think that is something you can't unsee. And so, yeah, he was like that. Now, I will tell you, he was a good husband in that he made sure, food was on the table, and he was a very methodical person as far as taking care of things and getting things done. I was not like that. I was fly by the seat of your pants, because I was never taken care of at home, and I was never taught to take care of myself. And I've learned that I try to help people now when I see them not doing something, because not everybody's taught the basic elements of life, what is important, and how to kind of like structure your daily habits in order to have the easiest existence or the most productive existence. So, but he wasn't a man who would tell me he loved me, and he would often, rather than helping me correct something, he would criticize me. There was a lot of criticism, and so I immediately got pregnant again, and I had my lovely, sweet daughter, and oh my gosh, there is nothing like having that sweet baby, and I loved her to death. And then and she was 16 months old when my son was born. That was something that was a shocker. I can tell you this, don't ever think that breastfeeding is going to keep you from getting pregnant, okay? Do birth control. But my son was a delight as well. He was so precious. The only thing is that when you have kids 16 months apart, it's almost like having twins, only a little worse because they tend to not nap at the same time. So when one is napping, you're not getting your rest because the other one's up and crying. There would be times when I'd be laying on the couch with Thrissa sitting on my tummy and Glennie in the swing. I'm trying to swing him and he'd be crying, and I'm just laying there because I just didn't have any more energy. And that marriage ended. It was my doing, and everything was the result of my decisions. And that is a story for another time because it is so long, but I promise I will tell you all about it. But basically, that ended in a way that was very traumatic to the entire family. And as a result of me walking away from that, I took nothing from him. The only thing I wanted was part of the money for the house. And I felt I deserved that because I worked hard for that house. And again, I'll tell you the story about living by the airport in Charles Drury, who is, if you're not from this area, he is a big hotel owner all around St. Louis and throughout the state, and I don't know how far that extends, but he kind of monopolized the area, this sweet little area we lived in when we were first married, and made it so no other developers could come in, blighted the area by putting renters all through there, and so we were kind of stuck. And so I had no choice but to wage this campaign against Charles Drury so that we could get out of there. Even that, my husband, I worked tirelessly on that, and he would criticize and yell at me for staying up late or keeping him awake, typing. You know, we didn't have computers then, it was typing on the typewriter. But so then, and it took a long time to leave that marriage. It was 12 years we were married before I even could fully get out of there. I can tell you, and I think that there's a lot of people that feel this way, I would lay in bed and wish I would get cancer so that I would die. Because I so did not want to do that to my kids. But I also felt like I was dying already inside. It was really strange. I couldn't understand how I could be living in a house with 3 other people and feel so isolated and lonely. I feel like I didn't know how to mom. I didn't know how to be sacrificial because I was so hungry for somebody taking care of me. It's a feeling that I can't explain. I'm sure a counselor can, which I do see about once a month. My counselor is just a wonderful lady. But if you are somebody who's gotten to the age that I am, which is 61, or, you know, somewhere around there, and you're saying to yourself, I really screwed up my life. I just messed up everything, and I hurt so many people. I'd like you to please understand that we do the best we can. Unless you have an evil heart, which I suspect you do not if you're feeling that way. When we are hungry and hurting, we cannot give anything positive to anybody else. We don't know how. And I'll get into this story next time, probably, how I met Douglas, my sweet Douglas. And it was such an accident, and it was crazy. And I'll tell you where we got married and everything. But it took a while. We were married for a pretty long time before I understood that I was lovable. I still don't quite understand it, but I'm willing to accept it. And I actually accept it as God's grace. it's certainly not something I deserve. So I just want to put that out there to you, and I will be talking about that a lot more in the future. But until then, I would like to thank you for watching my very first video. If you're so inclined, could you please like my video? I don't know much about the YouTube algorithm yet. I don't know anything about this, but I do know that I am supposed to ask you to please like my video if you did indeed like it. And if you could be so gracious as to subscribe to my channel, I would be so grateful for that. And I look forward. I have a lot to say, and I have a lot to share, so I think I'm probably going to make another video tomorrow and post it. Until then, please forgive yourself any of your wrongdoings. If you can't forgive yourself, at least ask Jesus to forgive you, because he died on the cross to save us from our sins and the things that we bear as humans, the things that we do as humans. We're a flawed, sinful people, and God's grace makes us whole again. So please just go out there, show grace to others, and just let your light shine. Love all of you. I don't even know you yet, but I really do love all of you. And take care. God bless. Bye.